I've been kind of roasting, telling Inman stories, and
Yeah, we probably roasted enough people in the last 2 hours.
Yeah, we have. I never felt good at like comfortable doing roasts. I've done a couple of roasts, and I really had to felt like I had to rewire my brain, stay inside a hotel room, and and not leave for 3 days because I had to go over and think of mean shit to say. Cause
we just did Simmons roast though for Kiss.
There was 3 days of
So what was that? Do you remember any of your
that?
Dean Simmons roast jokes?
Everyone had mean shit, and I remember Jim Norton. I was like, this is my first time doing a roast, like a televised roast, and Jim was like, yeah, me too. And I was like, he goes, but just remember, when in doubt, be as evil as possible. Just be an asshole. And my jokes were everyone was saying phenomenally mean shit. And in fact, I remember Lisa Lampanelli, and this got cut out of the roast. Gene actually edited out all the jokes about his hair. And one of the jokes about his hair was Lisa Lampanelli walked out, first words out of her mouth, and you never heard this on the roast. She goes, Gene Simmons, I've seen better rugs in rapist vans. And we're like, oh my God. Wow. And I went out and just said, I talked about how much sex he's had, which what guy doesn't want to hear man, you get laid so much. And I was like, Gene claims to have slept with over 5,000 women. Isn't that right? 5,000 women, but never wrote a song about it because nothing rhymes with gonorrhea. Gene! It was just silly shit. So it was kind of, but it wasn't really mean. But
you do an hour just on the Elder album.
Yeah, I know. Well, I did take apart some of that. There was a couple great quotes, but it was again, I just.
What would Gene ask us to close out the interview? What would Gene?
I'm going to ask you a question. I want to know.
By the way, I gotta say, I love, like I said earlier, I love impressions. I had never heard anybody do Gene Simmons. I heard you, and I think you remember this. I heard him on Stern doing it, and I called him that day. I found your number from somebody, and then before the internet, I think.
I remember this.
I had to call him. I go, look, man, I haven't seen you in a while, but that is one of the best impressions I had ever heard. You're Gene Simmons. No one had ever done.
It was so useless. It was it's
brilliant. It's a brilliant impression. What would Gene do for this?
So let me ask you a question. Are comedians, are you like rock stars before you go on stage? Are you like us? Are you sitting down to prepare yourself mentally for the crowd? Are you sitting down with your accountant and going over the numbers? Are you like me? No? Are you like me before you go on stage? Are you making sure to tuck your guarantee underneath your balls, underneath in the codpiece before you go on stage so your drummer doesn't take it? Are you?
I like everything is about him. It's he's supposed to ask the question, are you like me?
Are you like me?
So
that's all
about
Gene.
Gene Simmons, the first time he came, he confronted me on the Howard Stern show. He flew to New York and he confronted me live on the air about my impression of him. And that was kind of an awkward moment. And then,
if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the joke that when Ted Nugent was on, and Ted was talking about he was all upset because people couldn't come to the Make-A-Wish wouldn't come to his farm.
That was one of my favorite moments. Because Ted told a story.
He was upset that kids couldn't come from Make-A-Wish to his farm to hunt. That was wrong.
He told an amazing story. Howard will usually get something from the research team, and he'll go, hey, somehow they stumbled across this story about Make-A-Wish, and he said, I heard that Make-A-Wish turned down a kid because he wanted to hang out with you, and Make-A-Wish said no, they don't want to send a kid hunting, and he goes, yes, he did. He goes, you know what happened? I'll tell you what happened, Howard. I found out about this. We found out the Make-A-Wish Foundation. There's a 7-year-old kid who lives in Indianapolis, and he's dying. He's got a few weeks to live, and his wish was to come up and go hunting with Ted Nugent. And the Make-A-Wish Foundation said no. So I found out this kid's phone number. I called him up and I said, hey, this is Ted Nugent, and I'm flying you up to my house, and you're gonna stay with me for a week. And the kid came up to my house, and we hung out for a week, went camping and hunting, and it was the best week of his life. And he passed away a week later. And it was it actually caught everyone off guard. And Fred started playing this amazing music underneath,
little piano music.
And it was like, wow, that's amazing. And we were all genuinely touched by it. And my role on the Howard Stern show is to fuck with everybody. So I go,
you came back
I
with...
go, you know, the story is amazing. And by the way, this is Gene Simmons from Kiss.
I've never been, this is what I would do. I would crash through people's interviews as celebrities. And then the celebrities would always go, who the fuck, like, where? And they would just hear, and then they'd see me and they go, who are you? You're like a totally unknown person in this room.
And I go, you know, I heard this story, and we had something happen at the Kiss headquarters. Fred, cue the music.
And Fred plays.
I got a wonderful letter from a young man by the name of Dwayne Gold. And Dwayne said, Dear Gene Simmons, from Kiss, because I kept introducing myself as Gene Simmons. It's my dream has been to own a Kiss credit card. And is there any way, I've got 2 weeks to live, I would love to own a Kiss credit card. And I called him up. Did you know that, Howard? I actually got Dwayne Gold's phone number. I called him up and I said, Dwayne, cut the music. How am I supposed to recoup my money once you die?
That sounds terrible. And Nugent is staring at me like what an asshole.
But the great thing is, they had toured that summer together, and they did not let Kiss and Nugent didn't get along. Is that
right?
Right? Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of things where Tracy Morgan is aware that there's a guy that does an impression of him that fucks with people all over the country. But when he sees me, he doesn't put the two together that I'm the guy.
Oh, really?
In fact, I just saw him a month and a half ago in front of the Comedy Cellar, and I see him, and he has this habit of pulling up in front of the Comedy Cellar in really expensive cars, and he doesn't walk in the comedy club. He just gets out of the car and he just stands there for a second while everybody goes, Tracy! Tracy! People pull up the camera phones, and within 2 minutes, it's a mob. And people are like, Tracy Morgan! Tracy Morgan! Hey! And I'm taking pictures of him. I see the mob, and I see Tracy, and I go, what? Tracy! Are you going on? And he turned around and he goes, hey, what's up, Sergio? And he hugged me. And I go, who the fuck is Sergio? I don't know what the fuck, who the fuck is Sergio? Yeah.
So, I mean, you would call up, or you would be on the Howard Stern show and be doing the Sam Kinison the same way?
Yeah, I was.
And interrupt people's interviews?
I was auditioning for to be Howard Stern's sidekick for a year. And I would, the first couple days, it was just supposed to be a 2-day audition, but we got along so well on the first 2 days that they just kept bringing me back for 2 days a week. And Howard's idea was, hey, when I bring you back in on Monday, I'll bring you in, I'll go, hey, by the way, this was Craig Gass, he's a stand-up comedian, blah, blah, and I said, I think it'd be better if I just continued to stay in the background as different celebrities. And I keep adding more celebrities because Jackie just got fired, or Jackie just quit the show. And I think it's a really weird move, especially with your audience, because your audience is really rough, to go, okay, so Mom is gone. You guys know Mom is gone? Okay. And this is my new girlfriend, you know? And I was like, and your audience is not going to respond well to that. But if I keep adding more and more celebrities into the background, eventually the crowd's going to go, your audience is going to say, who the fuck is doing that? Like, then they're going to want to know who that person is. And he's like, you know what? You're right. I'm wrong. And this is what we're going to do. And that actually ended up, in the long run, ended up fucking me because whenever I would try to chime, like it would be something interesting going on, and I'd go, you know what? That's funny. That's true. What he's saying is true. And he'd go, what voice is that? And I go, well, I'm just saying. He goes, no. He goes, don't talk. He goes, talk in your. And then it became like
you had to do impressions.
Can you say that as Al Pacino, please? And I'd have to be like,
your voice.
What I was saying was. What Travis was
like, I had to put all my questions in the form of a celebrity.
So you were stuck.
Yeah, it was terrible.